For those of you who want to do this as joining in as a practical workshop, I'm just going to take you through a little bit of a warm up and prep first, and then we're going to crack on and go through as much as we can, trying to work on press ups, how to build press up strength, and hopefully give you a bunch of things that you can then work on outside of this session. So to begin with, I'm just going to get you guys, and again, you do not have to actually take part. You can just listen, make notes, and then do things later if you would like. So just to begin with, I'm going to get you to stand up, and we're just going to start with some inchworm walkouts. Okay, we're not going to do anything too intensive. We're just going to warm up the shoulders, chest, and back, and our core a little bit, just to make sure that we're ready to work through these progressions and regressions so we can find where we're at. So for the inchworm walkout, if you keep your feet still, you're going to walk your hands till you're out in a plank position, and then you're going to walk your hands until you're back, and then stand tall. Let's just do 10. Trying to take as many steps with those hands as you can, and then when you're in that high plank, really just give your core an extra little squeeze to make sure that it's paying attention and it's switched on. Fabulous. I always find this one's actually more stressful for my hamstrings than anything else. Excellent. And then I'm going to introduce you to a scap press up. So when you finish the inchworm walkouts, and a scap press up is actually one of our pieces of accessory work that you can do to help improve your press ups. It's a really teeny tiny movement. So I'm going to pretend show you in this position so I can over exaggerate it so you can see it. But a scap press up, we're going to be in that high plank position, and the most important part of this movement is actually keeping the elbows locked into place. No bend in the elbows whatsoever. Keeping everything nice and tight. You're going to sink through the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then you're going to round, pushing yourself away through the upper back. So it's sinking through the chest and shoulder blades pitched together, and then pushing away and rounding through the upper back. In your high plank position, lock the elbows into place. Do not let your tummy drop. The only thing that moves is your chest as you sink and let your shoulder blades pinch together, and as you push the floor away and round through the upper back. That's really nice, David. Spot on. Vicky and Sam, let's just do 10. I'm just watching to make sure. That's it. You want to almost imagine like your shoulder blades are trying to eat something. Fab. Keeping that core nice and tight. Don't let the belly sag. Sam, don't bend those elbows at all. Lock those elbows into place. There's no movement in the arm. It is literally just through the shoulder blades. No sagging in the belly either. It's a teeny tiny movement. Don't feel like you're doing it. You're not doing a press up. Just a little bit of getting the shoulder blades working. That's it, JD. Nice. I don't know why I'm complimenting you. Good job, JD. I'm just going into autopilot mode on the coaching. Nice job. Good job.
No one ever compliments me, so it's so nice to hear.
Oh, well, they were really good. You've got very mobile scaps. I'm jealous. Mine don't move. Awesome. And then I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite shoulder warm-ups. I call it Feel the Burn. Pretty sure I've invented the name of it anyway, not the movement itself. So you're going to put both arms out to the sides, thumbs up. Come on now, assume the position. There we go. So what we're going to do is pulse from the shoulder in all 4 directions. We're going to go up, turn our thumbs back, turn our thumbs forward, and then turn our thumbs down. And we're going to do 2 in each direction, and then 3 in each direction, all the way up to 10. You'll start to understand why it's called Feel the Burn between round 7 and 8. Maybe a little bit sooner. Excellent work, you guys. And when you've gotten to around 10, I can see Vicky's getting close to 10. I could tell by her face. I love this drill so much. All right, everything's going to be burning, and that's okay. It will settle down in a minute, I promise. But this is actually, if you need a really quick something to warm up your shoulders, ready to do some work, feel the burn, and then you'll be ready to rock and roll. Jen Allen's an old pro. Feel the burn. Thanks, Jen. Fabulous. So the first thing I'm going to do is just talk to you a little bit about what we're looking for in a press up. And I'm just, there's obviously lots of different types of press ups you can do, but we're going to focus on the one that's kind of most optimal for what we would do on a day-to-day and where we're going to be able to develop the most pressing power. And that's a slightly more narrow, not super, super close, but it's not wide either. We're somewhere in the middle where if I was to have my hands on the floor, my thumbs would pretty much be into my armpits. Okay, it's somewhere around there. A little bit of space between my elbow and my side, but not tons, because we want to be able to get a nice bit of tricep going on in that press up as well. So I'm just going to quickly talk about 4 different regressions, or 3 regressions for a press up, and then a couple of progressions as well, because not everybody needs to be able to do more normal press ups. Maybe we want to be able to do more super cool badass press ups and improve ourselves that way, as well as perhaps getting from no press ups to full press ups. So when we're looking and thinking about a press up, what are we looking for? We're looking for our chest to hit the floor, preferably first. Okay, crotch to floor isn't quite what we're aiming for on a press up. So our chest is going to hit the floor first, and it should leave the floor at the same time as our thighs, rather so that we're not snaking. As those are things we're looking for. I like to use negatives, and we talked about using the eccentric in our little chat last week as a way of developing strength. I like to get people, if you can't do the full press up, that we work on the negative. And I'm talking about this like a practical, if we're in a session and we're doing a bunch of press ups, say it's Angie, it's 100 press ups in the workout, and we want to think about, okay, well, these are my regressions. I can do maybe 40 RX press ups in my Angie, which is 100, and then I can't do RX ones anymore because it's just gone to crap. My back's arching everywhere and it's horrible. Well, now I'm going to switch. I'm going to regress to negatives so that I can keep moving with integrity. Once I can't do negatives anymore, then I'm going to elevate or band myself. And then the very last option, at least from my perspective as a coach, is from the knees. The reason for that, and especially when it comes to strength building, is it's such a huge jump to go from on the knees to not on the knees, that if you don't do something else in between those two, you'll never get there. JD, tell me if you think I'm wrong.
No, exactly right, mate. Exactly right. You need that. People just get used to doing them on the knees, and that's how I do them. So there's no, unless you work beyond that, then you won't be able to do them. So yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to talk through, just really quickly talk through what these look like, how we can use them. We're going to practice them, see what works for you guys, because I want you to have a bit of a baseline right now, because then when we talk about things like accessory work and an example of a routine that you can use to help improve your press ups, it's important to know where you're at right now with them to begin with. Does that make sense? Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Fabulous. All right, so RX press ups now. Don't laugh at me, my chest is very sore today. I tried to demo a press up in class earlier and I was like, oh, nope, I'm stuck on the floor, I can't. So RX press up, we're looking for our arms to be a little bit tight. So we're gonna actually think about, and I want everybody, once I've talked through and demo, just to practice what it's gonna feel like to get this locked in position with your elbows. My hands are kind of underneath my shoulders. Ooh. There we go. Now, if I was to go down now and not really think about creating any tension, my elbows are probably going to flare out. But what we want to do is to lock our elbows into place. So, and if I didn't have a black jumper on, you could see that my elbow pit, instead of facing in towards one another, is now facing in front of me. So as I lead down with my chest, my elbows are going to shoot behind me so I can keep everything nice and close and tight. So the first thing I'm going to get you guys to do is to practice locking those elbows into place and feeling the difference. We're not even going to do a press up. I just want you to feel the difference between having our elbows pointing out versus our elbows pointing back. I just want to see you guys switch that on. You can put yourself in your camera so I can see your elbow pits. Awesome. So we just get into that, almost like we're doing a really passive plank. And then I want you guys to show me your elbow pits by creating that tension. That's really nice, Sam. And Vicky, spot on. Good. David, can you feel the difference? If you were just to relax and not create that tension, see what happens to your elbow pits, right? So that's what we want. We want to create that torque so that our elbows can then go behind us. All right, everybody just come to kneeling. So chest hits the floor, pressing away, everything nice and tight in our core. We're not sagging through the belly, just like when we're doing our scat press-ups. So the next one, which is my favorite, because you really get a sense of how much control you need to have through the whole body in the press-up. And we're going to start by seeing how everybody feels with the negatives. We can also add, and we'll talk about this in our routine, an element of tempo. So from the side, you'll be able to see that my wrists are underneath my shoulders or just a little bit behind my shoulders. I'm going to keep super, super tight through my core, through my legs. Everything's going to be tight. And I'm actually going to lean with my chest so that my chest hits the floor first and my thighs are actually up off the floor. Then I'm just going to relax and get back up into my high plank position so I can focus on that element of control on my way down. So let's everybody just have a little bit of a go. And if you collapse a bit, don't panic. That is okay. But you should feel like your chest is going kind of forward down towards the ground. Lovely. That's it. So Anne, really focus on trying to keep your bum up just a little bit so that your boobies are the first thing to touch the floor. That's it. Excellent. Dive that chest down, dive that chest down. Good. Fab. So number one priority on these is having your chest touch the floor before anything else. That's awesome. Good. Everybody feeling controlled and tight? And those, you guys can come off mute actually if you want, because then you can ask me questions. Or JD, can we request people to come off mute? That's it, Anne. Good. Have a rest for a second. So if you guys want to unmute so that we can have a little bit more back and forth, or if you can tell me how things are feeling, then we can do that. It's a little bit more like a class that way, which is way in my comfort zone.
I might remute because Rufus is having a bit of a barking session. So
Rufus.
We'll see how we get on.
I'm sure he does that. He knows when we're having a session, doesn't he?
He does. He's gone out into the garden at the minute, but.
All right, guys. So how did you feel in terms of your control on the way down?
I find it's difficult for me. I'm very stiff in my back, but it's actually already I feel like I've improved through your advice.
Fabulous. That's brilliant.
Katie, what should I be doing with my head?
With your head. So literally keep it neutral. Okay? You just don't want to smash your face into the floor first. So if you have to pull your head up a little bit so that your chest can hit the floor before your nose or your chin, then do that. But otherwise, just try always, in anything strength-based, we want a neutral spine, which means top of our head in line with our shoulders and our neck. Don't really ever want to be craning around.
Katie, I feel like if you'd taken this session for all those people out there that do press-ups like this, because we all know what they're like.
Yes.
People do, don't they? Like legit, that's how people do press-ups.
Yeah, yeah, I do try to tell everybody, like, it's not dick to floor, it's chest to floor.
You'd instantly make their lives better, but you know, they're missing out.
But again, that's why I like the negative as our next option, because it forces you to A, focus on that core control, which you need for good press-ups, and B, to really understand what it feels like to lead with that chest and to have that be the first point of contact. Because it will feel almost like you're tenting up with your bum, but actually you're totally flat. Because we're very used to being pretty sway backed in those positions and try to move through it that way. So it's a really good way to just muscle memory, try to get a little bit more kind of tightness and control there. Everything you do, movement-wise, will be improved by more core control and engagement, which is a big part of what this negative movement helps us to switch on. So also with the negatives, if you get to a point, so Anne, maybe you get to a point where you're starting to have a hard time having the chest be the first thing to hit the floor, we've got a couple of things we can do then. So if we talk about regressions from here, now if you have a band, if you don't have a band, I recommend getting one because they are super useful, but then we can add a band to give us a little bit of support. So if I was to double up my band and put it just above the elbow, and if you don't have one now, obviously don't worry about it, but it's something to just bear in mind. So now I've got my band to help give me a little bit more control. It's actually going to take away a little bit of my body weight, so I can go through my negative exactly the same way. And actually I can do a bunch of those bad boys with a band. It's quite fun. So if you've got a band, try your negative again and just feel the difference. So, Anne, looks like you're about to shoot up. Double or triple your band up. So if you take it, twist it once, and then fold it over. There you go. Well, that'll probably do. That might be a little bit tight, but that will be fine for now, just to give you an idea. And then try it again. That's it. Keep that bum nice and tighten up a little bit. That's it. Excellent. So we still want, you should end up with your wrists, with your hands just a little bit farther back. That's it. Shoot those elbows back and allow that chest to rest on that band. There you go. That's better. And you can even press away. So this is a really fun way to also give yourself some assistance in press-ups in a workout. If you start to struggle with your RX press-ups, you can go banded and carry on, and then you can go negatives, and then you could negative banded. Like, you have so many options now using that band. And then if you don't have a band, you can do the same drill, but elevated. So now we're taking away part of our body weight, but we're always going to maintain the same positioning and movement pattern. Our grip will be the same width, the direction of our elbows will be the same, and the control in our core will be the same, always, regardless. Okay, so I've got my hand stance or grip width or whatever you want to call it. I'm still going to lead with my chest so that my chest lands on whatever it is that I'm elevating myself on, and I'm going to press away in the same way that I would off the floor. But now I've elevated, so I've taken some of my body weight away. And even here, if this gets too challenging, I can lower myself down. I can bring a foot up and then help press away. So I've still got two more regression options from here. If you guys have access to like a box or a sofa or something else, let's just have a little bit of a practice. Because again, if you had to do 100 press-ups, it's nice to have some options in your arsenal. Very nice. Make sure that your elbows are still shooting behind you, not flaring out. Your chest will touch. Nice, David. That's actually going to be one of our progressions in a minute, is finding something unstable. That's nice. Excellent. And always focusing on that nice, tight elbows in. That's it. And so same thing, and focus on the negative. So lower yourself to that chair, and then you can bring a foot up to help press away. That's it. Lovely. And then bring a foot up if you need to help with the press away. So, Anne, before you actually press away, come down onto the box, rest on the box a little bit, bring the foot up, and then press away. And then bring a foot up and press away. Fabulous. So we're still able then to focus on lowering our body weight under control, which is what's going to help us to create extra strength through the range of motion that we struggle with.
That was correct. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. And when you're back in the gym, you can do this in a workout. You know, you can self-regress, right? We can scale or scale down or scale back or scale, whatever you want to call it. Because in a CrossFit workout in particular, it's all about maintaining the correct level of intensity for a workout. So being a stubborn, pig-headed idiot and trying to do RX press-ups, but doing one every 40 seconds is not going to accomplish what we want in our workout. So we want to use our tools so that we can keep moving and actually meet the stimulus of the workout. So that was elevated and that was banded. And then again, the very, very last option, but sometimes we need it, is on the knees. But nothing changes with our range of motion. And actually on the knees, done properly, should still be a little bit of a challenge, right? So I'm just changing my lever length, which means that I'm not as heavy as I am, which is kind of nice in my instance anyway, right? So it's exactly the same. My feet and my knees are going to stay plastered down to the floor. I still have a pretty straight line from knees to bum to shoulders. My elbows are going to shoot back. My chest is pretty much going to hit the floor first, and I'm going to press away, keeping everything nice and tight. So if we actually focus on it, everybody do this, because if you do it properly, it's actually not as easy as if you don't do it properly. Keep that straight line between your knee, your bum, and your shoulder. And then keep that straight line as you press away. So you should almost feel like you're like a triangle and you're just hinging on the knee. And we're not going to arch through that back. Fab. I mean, dare I say that if you do them like that, it's not actually as easy as if you do them how a lot of people do them, which is still snaking all over the place, but on the knees instead. But because we're on the knees, it doesn't put as much strain on the lower back, so you don't notice it, which is why we get away with crap form on the knees, which is another reason why you don't improve. All right, any questions about that? Now, if that's still challenging, what do? Well, we elevate ourselves. Okay, so we're still on the knees. You can probably see how this works progression-wise. All right, and now I can probably carry on with those from the knees. Because as I said, if you do it right, keeping your body nice and tight and actually nice and long from knee to bum to shoulder on the knees, it still can be a challenging movement, especially if you're under fatigue. So we'd elevate again. Any questions?
That was good, thank you.
So far? Fabulous. All right, now, very quickly, we'll talk about progressions. I won't go on about it for too long. For anyone who is interested in furthering their press-ups, then we've got some fun trick things that you can play around with. So David had actually grabbed a med ball. So now what we can do is add an extra level of challenge. I'll only demonstrate negatives, assuming I can do that, because I don't want to fall on my face. But if you're very proficient with press-ups, then what we can do is start playing around with press-ups, but on something that is not stable. Okay, so doing them on there, I'm not even going to try because I'm going to face plant, or on a med ball, or on a wall ball, sorry. What else could we use that's not very stable?
Animal.
An animal, you could be on 2 tins. So if you get a tin from the cupboard, okay, and hold on to them, or on a foam roller, but again, you'd want to make sure that you're in that same range of motion position. So we can play around. Say it again.
Plates.
Yep, plates, parallettes. Parallettes are still pretty stable, but it's increased range of motion, so that would work. Now you can even, as a piece of accessory work, just hold an elevated plank on something that's not stable, and that's going to help us big time in working all the muscles we need to work that help us be better at these things in the first place. Now we can also play around with our hand positioning to do more challenging press-ups. So for anyone who doesn't know, you can do a diamond press-up. So we've got obviously our normal grip, a very narrow grip, we've got a wide grip, and then we can have a diamond. And diamond's super fun. And when you go down for a diamond, I'll show you the negative version, so who knows if I can get back up again. Right, we're here. Now I still want to create some tension through the elbows. I don't want my elbows going straight out. I want them to try to go back a little bit. But obviously my arm positioning is different. So I'm going to aim the center of my chest for the center of my diamond. And then press away, like that. If you would like to have a go, just at a diamond press up right now for shits and giggles, let's have a little bit of a play. Okay, don't worry if you can't, you could just practice the negative if you want to have a play with that. Don't worry about the pressing back up again. But get literally those hands should be in that diamond position, and we're still going to twist those elbows into place to keep them nice and tight. Emily, bring your hands a little bit more underneath your chest rather than out in front. That's it. There we go. Fab. And then we can play around with one-handed press-ups. Now that's a very challenging press-up to do off the bat. But what we can do is start to play around with removing one of the hands from the situation. So if I take something like a med ball to get that hand a little bit more out of the way, so this isn't as actively engaged, and I can work my negative and press up from here, that hand for the single arm ones will need to be a little bit more in that diamond position than in a regular position. So I think about my hand placement for a single arm press up. And I can practice pressing away, having one arm a little bit more out of the way, and the other arm doing a bulk of the work. Okay, so just for fun. And that's it, David. And then you could just work on the negative, right? So remember the principles of our regular press up. And David, we want to aim for that chest to hit the floor. So have this arm just a little bit more straighten out to the side. So you can get to a point where we're doing our press up, and actually this arm is way out here. And then we're doing more pressing through that arm, if that makes some sense. Okay, and you can elevate that kind of any old how, but we're trying to remove it. And remember that that other hand, the one that we're actively pressing from, should be a little bit more centered in your chest, not off to the side. Because if we were to take that arm away, you wouldn't be balanced, you'd fall over. We'd want to be here. Just thinking about that hand placement. Just something for a bit of fun. And obviously always work both arms. Don't just try your dominant arm. That's it. So David, get that hand just a little bit more in your center. You can also widen your feet to give you a little bit more of a stable base when we're doing single arm play.
Thank you.
That's it, David. Good. I tell you what, though, but that's where you start. And sometimes, you know, even when you're just doing negative press ups, you might get to a point where it feels like you're free falling, but there's still an element of control and strength building.
Very little
Okay,
control, Katie.
It wasn't terrible. You didn't face plant those fine. Right. So that's just a little bit on progressions, things that we can do beyond the RX press up. So let's quickly talk about some accessory drills, and then I'll take you through an example of a strength building session that you could do with the assumption that you don't have any RX press-ups or you don't have a great volume of RX press-ups and you want to increase your proficiency with them. So accessory work. Got two things. I mean, there's more than this. This is just some of the things that I would recommend. If you have a band and you have, say, for example, a door frame pull-up bar or something that you could anchor it to up high, or when we're back in the gym, banded tricep extensions and lat pull downs. I'll just do a very quick demo because we will have access to the videos again, and you can always look back at it later, assuming you can see me. I'm not tall enough. JD, I need your help. I need your height. Okay. So tricep extensions, we want to really get our triceps. We're going to walk right out. I'm going to bend over so that the band is pulling my arms up. So I can really pull down through a full range of motion, but I'm not going to let my shoulders move. I'm just driving through the tricep. Okay, and using the band for this kind of stuff is great fun because you can do all sorts of different resistance on that. You can grab it higher up or lower down. We can also then do more of a kind of lat pull down or a ski. keeping my arms nice and straight, keeping my legs nice and stable, I can just work on pulling and really squeezing my lats, my big wing muscles, because they are super important for everything we do, really. And it's important for you to actively engage and squeeze at the same time. If you're passive with it, who knows what's going to switch on. We did scat press ups in the warm up. That's a really good drill because most of us don't have our scaps, the behind your shoulder blades, and our shoulder blades don't work or function quite the way they're supposed to from sitting and keyboards and all that jazz. Now I'm going to show you a fun one called a skull crusher. And you just need a kettlebell or a dumbbell or a dog or a small child, something, and a piece of floor. If you have any of those things to hand, you can practice along with me. Otherwise, just have a look. I like this one because you get to lay down. So I've got a kettlebell, so I'm going to hold it by the handle. Make sure your hair is right. Okay, so I'm going to hold my kettlebell so that my elbow, right, so here's my elbow. I know black was not a good plan today, is in line with my shoulder and my armpit. And I am literally going to keep my elbows where they are, pointing up. I'm going to lower the kettlebell to just above my head, and I'm going to straighten. So this is pure triceps. So skull crusher, for obvious reasons, please don't actually drop it on your skull. Okay, so that's an excellent accessory drill for your triceps. And I'm going to suggest that you actually hold that dumbbell the other way. Yep. Or is that a peppermill? Whatever it is, I love it.
A lightsaber.
It's a lightsaber. And then get the back end of it. So the end that's by your face there, I actually want you to have it hovering just above your forehead. So hold your arm straight up. There we go. Now you're going to aim it right at the top of your head on the floor. So go behind your head, behind your head, behind your head. There. Touch it to the floor, and then just straighten the arms from there. So it's a relatively short tricep extension movement. And rep range wise, for any of these accessory moves, a really easy range, like rule of thumb, is 3 sets of 10 reps. You can go as high as 3 sets of 20 reps, depending on what weights you have and how spicy it is. Floor press or bench press is another really excellent accessory work to do, but we want to make sure that we're replicating the same range of motion as our press up. So a lot of people bench press like this, really wide, elbows straight out to the side. We would want in our floor press to make sure that we're in that same hand position and arm drive as our press up. We're thinking about this as accessory work. Right, so if I'm building strength in my ability to press away a weight, it's no different from me building strength in my ability to press myself away from the floor. So you could do single arm, double arm. You could do barbell, but you need to make sure that that barbell is probably going to end up hitting kind of below the sternum. Not sternum, yeah, sternum. More by your diaphragm and not way up here. So it would just be a different point that we would bring that down. Pause press ups, we'll talk about that in a minute. So finding a spot in your press up and actually holding it and then pressing away. Delt raises, loads of different ways to do these sorts of things. 2 little weights. Our delts are these big muscles right in the front of the shoulders that help us with pressing. So we could do, if you have 2 little weights, we could bring them up in the front, and we could also come out to the side a little bit. And any of this kind of stuff is going to help improve our strength and control. And those smaller muscles, some of us, you know, they switch on better than others. And then we can also work on something called a plank or a pike shoulder tap. This is really good for integrating the core element. So if I'm in my plank position, and I'm just going to work on shifting my weight back and forth, it's helping me to build that endurance in my core stability and movement. Yeah. Now I've just put in here 3 by 10 accessory work. So you can pick 3 of these do 3 sets of 10 and just do what we call a superset. So you could do 3 sets of 10 tricep extensions, 3 sets of 10 scat press ups, 3 sets of 10 floor press, and that's one accessory session for your press ups. Take about 15, 20 minutes max to do. That's a really good way to just mix and match and build some strength. So you do a set of 10 of one exercise, a set of 10 of the other, set of 10 of the third. Go through that 3 times. Job done. So I'll make sure that JD's got a copy of this. It's in the video, but I'll get a physical copy too. And then you can kind of play around with picking out bits and pieces. So an example session could be, and this is where I'll just elaborate on the tempo or the pause press ups a little bit more. So I've got an example of 2 sessions. Each session shouldn't take any more than 15 or 20 minutes to work through, because you'd want to do this in addition to whatever your normal training is. And that's the beauty of this. It doesn't have to take any more time than that. You don't have to spend an hour working on press ups to get better at press ups. All right, so session number 1, tempo negatives. You're going to do 3 sets of between 5 and 10 tempo negatives. The tempo will be lowering down for a count of 5. And I'll just do one example. So it's going to take me a count of 5 to get all the way to the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll get back up, and I'm going to do it again. And I've said between 5 and 10 reps because I need you to reach what I would call an RPE of 9. So we use the rate of perceived exertion, which is a warm and fluffy way of deciding how hard or heavy something is. It's out of 10, so a 9 out of 10 means you can do that number and maybe one more, because one more would be a 10 out of 10, which is a max. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So the actual number is relative to where you are now. Maybe you could just do 2. Maybe 5 seconds is a little bit too slow, but you could do 3 seconds. So this is tailorable, is that a word, for everybody, if you just think about what we're aiming for here. So then you'll do your 3 sets of however many, rest as needed in between, and then you'll do 3 max effort iso holds, sounds like an energy drink, 1 to 2 inches off the floor. This is where we're basically just going to hover off the floor. So I'm going to get to this, and again, this is great if you struggle with the initial pressing off the floor portion without that core control, if that's where you start to arch your back. So I'm going to get myself, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. We're going to get to the point where I'm off the floor, and I'm going to hold it for as long as I can, max effort. I won't actually, because it'll be here a little while. Not picking myself up, by the way. That was so 3 max effort iso holds. Hold it for as long as you can, keeping everything super tight. And as soon as you start to move or fail, be done. Rest is needed. Do that 2 more times. You can also elevate yourself to do that. So if you can't from the floor, that's okay. Elevate yourself. Try it like that. Okay, if you still can't, then go on the knees. Try it like that. It's all part of our regressions. No matter what we're doing, you can always regress the movement, as we discussed right at the beginning. And the last part, because our core plays a huge role in press ups, do 3 sets of 20 flutter kicks. Flutter kick, they're so disgusting. I like to really make sure that we're still in a hollow position when we're doing a flutter kick. So if you want to like put your hands underneath your bum, get the shoulder blades off the floor, and we're just going to flutter kick, staying in that hollow-ish position, helping us to make sure that our hip flexors are tight enough, strong enough, I should say, and that we can get that core control. So that's an example of one strength building session for press ups. Another one, pause press ups. These are tough, so this is a good one to do. If you've got press ups, you can improve your press ups by doing a partial range of motion with a pause and then pressing away again. So it could be that I'm doing a 2-second pause halfway down my press up. So I could do this one of 2 ways. I could either, as a negative, get halfway down, hold it, and then finish. Or if I can do full press ups, get halfway down, come up, all the way down, and then up. Okay, so we can create some additional load through a partial range of motion. So a 1.5 press up would be a nice variation on that if you've got press ups. And then, for example, then we could do 3 sets of between 10 and 12 of our delt raises, and then superset that with some of our skull crushers on the floor. Give you a bit of an idea of how we can start to put this together.
Awesome.
Become
Mate.
press up badasses. Small out of breath. Right, guys, talk to me. Any questions?
The floor press, Katie,
Yep.
remind me.
The floor press, yeah. So that's basically a bench press.
Okay.
Laying on the floor.
Right. So I've got a kettlebell low on my back and I drive it up.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
And what you can do, obviously single arm is absolutely fine. Just make sure that you're doing a set number of reps on one arm, swapping sides. And it might help you to have a little counterbalance or ballast in the other hand. You can hold that other hand upright at the top, work that one. That could be anything if you don't have 2 kettlebells or a kettlebell and something else. If you've got double kettlebells and dumbbells, you can do that, obviously, or a bar. But as I said, with the bar, just be really mindful that you still want to have that same range of motion as our press up, and you don't want to end up defaulting to the really wide bench. Anything else?
Hi, Katie. Can I just ask what size resistance band you would use?
Sure. I would use one of the thinner bands, not the thinnest, and not quite the medium, whatever's in between. It's difficult because every company's got different colors and different sizes, but the one I was using, oh yeah, it's here. I'm not even sure what the poundage is on that, but width-wise, it's one of the thinner bands.
About 1 inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 1 to 1.5 inches. Anything much thicker than that, and you're just spring all over the place.
So Katie, if this was something that if I want to get better with my press up volume, how many sessions a week?
I would do 2.
Sensible? Okay.
Bearing in mind that you're probably going to have some CrossFit or training sessions that have an element of pressing up in there, especially when we're doing our home workouts. And those are opportunities for you to continue to work on volume. You can also play around with our progressions in the same way that we're doing any of this other stuff. So you can kind of, take from one, plonk it in there. Things like ascending press up challenges, 1 on day 1, 2 on day 2, 3 on day 3. That's fun. That's a good way to do it. Take a month. But this stuff is a little bit more thoughtful in terms of actually getting all the right muscles to switch on and getting all the right muscle memory to work for us. Sam, is that something?
Yeah. What would you do for improving the strength of my wrists? Because I tend to find that's something that can stop me doing as many press ups as I start my wrist fatigue more than my arms do sometimes. Especially if I'm doing cleans or something else in the workout.
Would you say it's more of a discomfort in the wrists?
Yeah.
And a fatigue?
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
Yeah. So wrist mobility plays a huge role in a lot of what we do, or restricts us. And I have terrible wrist mobility. I can't even get to 90 degrees with mine for lots of different reasons, and that inhibits me. So working on your wrist mobility will help you feel much more comfortable in your press ups. I'm a huge fan of Kelly Starrett, who wrote the book Become a Supple Leopard, and I think it's changed its name now. It used to be Become a Supple Leopard on the website. If you Google that, it'll bring you to his new changed name for stuff.
The Ready State, I think, Katie.
Ready State, that's it. Thank you, David. I knew David would know that. Ready State. I'm old school, you see. I still know him as Supple Leopard. But he goes through a lot of drills that help you. It's not just stretching. Things like joint distraction, smashing your fascial layer and tissues and stuff. Those are the sorts of things that you need to be doing to really make some big improvement in your wrist range of motion. You'll be amazed at how much just that in and of itself will improve your comfort in those movements.
Okay, thanks.
Just to add on to that, Sam, if you look at the way that Katie's broken down everything we've just done, most people will jump straight into a press up. So if you think about it, right, 10 press up, they just jump straight down. But if you take your time to go through the progress, even if you can do full press ups, if you go from your knees first of all, you're technically decreasing the load. So you're warming your wrists up over time. And that's actually like through habit and practice, that will actually help strengthen your wrists as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's really poignant, Katie, the way that you've structured it, because like I say, I'm guilty of just doing press ups without warming up for them. But if you think about all the exercises, the scat press ups, all those things, you're setting your body and you're warming up and you're potentiating all the neural system to do the most efficient press up as possible. And that includes prepping the joints as well. So I think it's awesome.
Any other questions or things maybe you're not sure about?
Can I ask a question about press ups on a closed fist? But in martial arts, that's what we tend to do.
Sure.
Is that any benefit in that over doing it on your palms, or the other way around?
I mean, personally, just in a functional way, I'm not really sure in relation to how that may or may not help martial arts. In a practical way, that would be a really nice way to get around the wrist discomfort issue for a start. Also, depending on your lengths of levers and everything else, it could make your press ups more comfortable for different reasons. Obviously, we want to be at a point, and I'm thinking about CrossFit and how we're wanting to be functional across many different movements. We want to be able to have that strength and power in that position, that functional pressing position here. And a good example would be if your car was stuck in the mud, how would you press, how would you push it out? Would you push it out with your fists, or would you push it out with your palms? And I'd always come back to that kind of question of what's most functional for us. JD, I don't know if you have anything to add about doing it on the fist. I would do it on my fist just if my wrists hurt and I needed to keep them straight. So that would be about it.
Yeah, we do tend to do it in martial arts and stuff, and I think getting a balance is important. So if you want to build the strength, like true strength, I would say like palms all the time, but I would vary it from time to time, because the good thing is it gives you like a proprioceptive position of your fist, because obviously normally we wrap our fist if we're punching, and what we don't want to do is hit an object and our wrist to bend that way. So it does strengthen the proprioception pattern on impact, because you learn how to keep your wrist straighter. But exactly like Katie said, to be honest, I think you want the variance. You want to be able to, because the press up and a punching, like punching's punching and doing a press up is a press up. Varying the wrist would be more of an accessory, I would say, rather than an actual functional.
I'd agree. In the same way that I'd say using something like a parallel is an accessory to building additional strength and capacity through the movement. I mean, parallettes can be great, again, if you have restrictions or injury where bending of the wrist is not possible or very painful. You can still access the movement by keeping a neutral wrist. But also this would then increase the range of motion, so we're building more strength because you're pressing from a deeper bottom position. So yeah, I would think of it kind of as an add-on.
Yeah, I do think actually doing press-ups on your knuckles is more advanced, because if you look at a lot of people first time in a boxing gym or a martial arts school, you unfortunately do see people suddenly. I mean, I've seen a couple of times people lose a position and then sprain the wrist. But if they're good and they understand their body, they're not going to go as low because they'll feel tentative about it. They'll come down to the ground and they'll literally you can see that they're not comfortable on their. So rather than coming all the way down there, they'll come down and they'll be like, I'm not sure. So it does build like a kind of confidence to be able to use your fists. But I wouldn't say it's the be all and end all of strengthening your fists for boxing or fighting.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
The thing I was going to say quickly, Katie, because I want you to shoot, because we're 5 o'clock already, and I know you've got to go.
I'm so sorry. That was
terrible. No. I'm more concerned that you've got to go, dude. You've got to go. No, but just to say, we've done press ups today. But for all the CrossFit guys, if you think about your shoulder to overhead, okay, so your jerking position, your elbows are in close. Okay, we're not spreading wide and pressing like this. So when you're doing your press ups, I said before, like your movement is like a river of potential. And if you unlock good press ups, it's like a tributary that joins that stream. So if you do good press ups, your shoulder to overhead is going to be better. Okay. Katie talked before about pull ups and keeping the elbows in as opposed to flaring them. Your pull ups are going to be better. Okay. For the grapplers, okay, when it comes to smashing people, guard passing and putting weight down on them, Like if you think about it, you might push on your opponent, but it's not just the hand, it's the arm, it's the body position. Okay, so there's so much functional gains to doing something, like I said, that we think we know how to do. And that's why I always say to everyone, like, there's levels of every exercise to which you can be proficient at it. But Katie's broken it down into such a way that for me, thinking about it, I think this is what makes me think, be really mindful about each exercise you do, really invest in understanding it and do it to the best of your ability. And Kate said it before, the virtuosity thing, you know, everyone can do press ups, like everyone can pull out a press up, but how good is their press up? Does their press up make you go, wow? And that's what we're aiming for. And it can be a simple press up, but you can see when someone's doing it in a very mindful, they've repeated it time and time again. And that's what we're always striving for. So I think the application to this, although I know it was a press up thing, it goes across the board to so much CrossFit stuff. So thank you so much, Katie. It's absolutely been awesome. I'm just sorry that I've let you run over because I wanted to stop you, but then I was like, nah, but she's on the flow.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's my bad. I'm so used to teaching hour-long things. That just
Yeah, no, don't worry. It was fine. It's absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So it's great. But do you need to dash now, Katie, or?
Well, I will certainly hand it over to you. And I'm so sorry. If people have to leave, I know JD and I, maybe we can arrange to do like the skipping thing again. I don't want anyone to miss out on that half. I feel really selfish.
No,
now.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine, Katie. It's cool. So
also, guys, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach me through JD or reach me directly. You can get my contact information from him, and I'll make sure that he's got a copy of this. And obviously, we'll have a copy of the video so you can review any of the movements and the key points. But the only thing really to take away from this is remembering the key important points to a press up, no matter what regression you're doing it in, which is, you know, our range of motion, the way that our elbows move, where our chest hits the floor first, and we've got real integrity through our core, and that'll be universal, no matter how you're doing your press up. But if at any point, any of those things stop happening, regress, and then focus on those things, okay? Regressing, it doesn't equal crapping out on a workout. Regressing is smart, because it'll actually get you to where you want to be faster.
Yep.
Yeah? And then I'm going to shut up and let you guys carry on.
Oh, good, guys. Can we just give Katie a big round of applause?
Katie.
That was awesome, Katie. It was really good. I'm excited about doing press ups. That's how you know.
I enjoy them now that when you think about them.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Right, guys. Let me just quickly can anyone stay on to do the skipping, or are people bounded by time? Zeb's thumbs up. Anyone else skipping?
I've got nowhere to be.
Right, that's cool then. So
I'm going to watch the recording, JD.
Yeah, you got to go. Yeah, no worries.
I'm going to go as well. So thank you.
No problem, guys. If you've got to go, don't worry. It's all good. Okay, just head off. If you're staying, just quickly go and grab a drink of water, and then we'll resume in 2 minutes. Go and
Sorry, Jen.
No.
Sorry, Jen.
You right, Devs?
Yeah, I'm going to stay on for a bit, but I'm...
Okay, guys. So, first and foremost, that was awesome. And like I say, Katie is amazing at what she does. So I am genuinely very thankful for that session. Even as a coach, there's so much stuff where I think, oh, I've never thought about that. It's really nice and eye-opening. And again, that's the motivation factor. So thank you, Katie, if you're watching this, which I'm sure she will be at some point. So we're going to move on to skipping, guys, and I'm particularly going to talk about skipping today. We will do some double under stuff, but the reason I'm doing that is because in the CrossFit world, we tend to do double unders in workouts, and I find it a bit bizarre that people who don't skip just go straight to doing double unders. Okay, so I find it a bit strange. I'm okay at double unders, and I think it's because when I boxed a lot, we used to skip a lot anyway. So what I kind of try and teach people is to get good at skipping as a skill, and then double unders will become easier and you'll be able to do more, you'll be a better efficiency, but you'll have more tools in your toolkit if you know how to skip and do all the other skips, okay? So the first thing I'm going to say real quickly is, I can't remember how I was going to articulate this, but basically if we talk about what skipping is, we have a rope, we jump, the rope turns around, it goes under our feet and goes round. And the object is not to hit the rope. Now, like anything, like a muscle up or a pull up, when we first try and do it, what we're trying to do is get that rope to go round, okay? Now, as we start to progress our skipping, what we want is we want our skipping to be more efficient, so it's going to be easier. We want to be better at it, so we want more variability in what we can do. We want more control, so we want to be able to speed up, slow down. And if we can do all those things, our skill level increases, okay? Because there's lots of bonuses to being good at skipping. So try not to focus, and this sounds really stupid, on just the skipping. So a lot of people are just like, if I scuff the rope, it's all over, it's game over. And I personally believe that someone can skip terribly and not scuff, and then someone can be moving well but scuff, and it's like the person who's moving well in the long term is going to be better if they stick with it. So don't think just because you can skip and the rope goes round that you've mastered it, okay? And I'm just going to show you a couple of common things people do, which when you see people skip, people will go, okay? Now that technically is skipping, but that's not necessarily how we want to skip, okay? So what we're going to look at first is just a simple skip movement. And what I want us to do is not use our ropes. So you're going to put your ropes to one side and we're going to stand nice and tall. So the three things we're going to look at is our body position and our jump. Well, that's two things first of all. So what I want you to do is just stand up. And what we're going to do is we're going to get some spring into the legs, okay? So all I want you to do is just get a little bit of a bounce through the heels. So you're going to go onto the toes. So I want you just to bounce through the legs. You're going to keep the legs straight. So I want you to feel a little bit of a bounce. So your heels are coming off the ground, lovely. And then relax, shake out the legs. So we're going to bring that now into a little bit of a bounce. So from here now, I'm just going to take my toes slowly off the floor. I'm just going to bounce there. Just bounce like that for me, guys. Good stuff. And relax, guys. Good. Okay. So when we're doing that and we're bouncing, we're trying to keep the whole body nice and straight, first and foremost. So chest up, stomach in. And what I'm doing is I'm chambering the energy in my legs, keeping them stiff, okay? If you break at the hip or the knee, you lose that rebound. And what happens is you do this. You break like that. If you come to a standstill, the problem is you're having to regenerate the power back up. And that's not good skipping, okay? So what I want us to do is I want us to be a little bit tighter in the leg. And what I want you to do is just bounce through the toes, relax a little bit more. The moment you hit the ground, I want you to bounce straight back up. So if you look at my knees, there's a slight bend. Good stuff, guys. Keep that going. Good stuff. Lovely. And relax, guys. Good. Okay, so next up, we're going to think about the rope turn. Okay, so we're not going to pick up our ropes yet, but we're going to keep our hands in level or just around about our elbow height. So I know a lot of people will want to bring the rope round. Okay, so they bring the rope like this all the way around. Because if we do that, it's a longer arc of the rope and it's easier for us to get it over and round. But really, if your rope actually suits you, that's exactly it, Vicky. It's like that whole kind of like thing, that weird skip that you do when you're at school. We're trying to avoid that. So if your rope fits you, what we should be doing is keeping our hands at our elbow sort of height. And as we bounce around, we're just going to turn the rope here. Okay, the better we get, the smaller the circles can be. So we're just going to bounce there. Just give that a go. Lovely jubbly, guys. And relax. Good. Okay, we're going to pick up our ropes now. So grab your ropes. And we are just going to skip now, okay? So we're going to just do our normal skip. So we're just going to allow the rope to go round underneath, keeping our chest up, just bouncing, just singles. Okay, give it a go. Nice, yeah, lovely. Good, Emily. Nice. Good stuff, guys. And relax, guys. Okay, so just as a general rule, guys, if you stand on the middle of your skipping rope and hold it up, it should come, the handle should come to your armpits. That's kind of how I've been taught to measure it. Okay, that's kind of, you know, it's the right height for you. Okay, so next thing we're going to look at is doing our boxer skip. We're going to stay on singles. Okay, so we're just going to let the rope go round each time, but we're going to adjust our foot position. So instead of our feet being together here or together here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stagger. I'm going to land with my feet slightly, 1 foot forwards, 1 foot back. I'm just going to move with my foot forwards and backwards there as I skip. Okay, so I'm skipping. I'm just moving my feet forwards and backwards. I can bring my heel forwards, and you're just moving the feet, so you're getting variation in the feet and how you move. Let's keep going, guys. So just a bit of variation. You can take weight side to side, so you can keep on one side. We'll go to the other side. Good stuff, guys. Lovely. Nice. And relax, guys. Good. Okay, so the nice thing to hear, I don't know if you could hear it. I'll try and make the noise here. When you're skipping, you should hear that when you're doing the boxer skip. So you should start to get used to the foot placement. And there isn't really any rules, like in terms of how to move your feet. You just move where you feel comfortable. Okay, so the main thing is you're standing up tall, chest up, stomach in. You're moving your feet, and you can really like warm up for 3 or 4 minutes, just playing around with your foot position, moving your feet forwards and backwards, and just relaxing, going back to a double skip sometimes, and just getting used to skipping like that. Okay, it's like jogging on the spot, but you've obviously got the timing involved when it comes to the rope turn as well. But just do a little bit more of that, guys, and then you have a little breather. Nice work, guys. That's good. Whoa, some backward skipping going on over there. Nice stuff, guys. Lovely. Okay, so we're going to look at some different variations of what we can do skipping rise. So we can obviously skip a bit faster. So if we skip faster, we speed up with the rope speed. Okay, so we can skip the same way we just have. So we can go back to the basics, which is our our single skip. But I can let the rope go around faster, or I can slow it down a bit. Okay, so I can slow the rope turn down, or I can do my boxer skip faster by turning the rope quicker, which means my timing has to be better, and then slow down a bit. So have a little go at just changing the tempo. So going a bit faster with your rope, which means your feet have to move at the same time, and then going a bit slower, so you have to adjust your feet as well. So this is where changing the rhythm means your timing has to be good as well. Nice, guys. Lovely. And relax, guys. Have a little breather. Good. Okay. So the importance of the changing in timing is when you change the speed of the rope, your feet have to change speed. Okay. Or if you change the speed of your feet, if the rope has to change, like either or, the relationship is the rope turn corresponds to your feet. Okay. Now that might seem really simple, but that's why it's so important to do this sort of stuff before doing your double unders. Okay. Because if you can get used to that change of tempo, I'm not sure. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you can hear my rope. Can you hear it? So I can go faster and then I can slow down. Okay, so as I start to go faster or slow down, I start to understand the importance of the timing of my hands and then what's happening with the feet. And I start to recognize that going faster doesn't come from trying harder and tensing up. It comes from relaxing and just being quicker with my hands. Okay, So next thing we're going to look at is high knees. Okay, so we're going to do single steps. We're going to do high knees. So I'm going to be here. I'm just going to go, okay, not like that. I'm going to go high knees. I'm just going to gradually increase the speed. Go as fast as you can. Go. So start off slow and steady. And then as you feel comfortable to, increase the speed. Nice, guys. That's good. And have a little breather. Good. Okay, so this is all stuff I would normally do in my warm-up for skipping. So I'll start off my basic skip, both feet together, then a bit of like left and right, changing the position of the feet, boxer skip. And then I start off slow high knees. Like I say, build up to going faster, and then see how fast you can get. As a practice. So go one more time with that, guys. Go. Give it a go. I'm exhausted. Good, Vic. That's not bad, Sam. Nice, Emily. And relax, guys. Have a little bit of a breather. Good. Okay. So the next part of the skip we're going to look at is the cross skip. Okay. So when I take my skipping rope, if I take it up, I don't know if you can see it here, but if you can see the big loop, if I cross my rope, in fact, with this, I'm not going to skip with this, but imagine this is my rope. I cross my hands, and I create another loop. Okay. So with my cross skip, all I'm doing is, rather than the loop passing around this way, I'm crossing my hands and it's causing another big loop. And that's what I do with my rope. So the most important thing with the cross skip is you can start off with singles and then you cross your hands just before it goes under. Okay, give it a go. Just crossing, nice. That was good, Vicky. Good skipping. Nice cross skip, lovely. Good work. Really nice. So what you can start off is you can do a couple of singles and then one cross skip and then every other. And you can even, you can cross skip, you can go each time, or you can stay inside the cross skip. Again, it's a bit of a coordination task. Just crossing your arms. Lovely, guys. Nice. Good, guys. Have a little breather again. Have a rest. Okay, so the other thing about skipping is, if you don't do it all the time, it's quite intense. Okay, so just like Katie was saying about practicing in small bits, with skipping, I find as a warm-up really good, or as accessory, but I wouldn't hammer it. If someone says to me, oh, I've done like half an hour of skipping, I'm like, that's probably too much, unless you do a lot of running. Because if you run a lot, then chances are you're going to be quite springy and your legs are going to be in good condition to jump up and down. But if you think about running, you tend to run forwards, not up and down. But that's why so many people, when they're practicing skipping, get shin splints or injuries. So I would do little and often. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is our double unders. Okay, so these double unders are the ones that obviously we try and adhere to with CrossFitters. So to start off with, we're just trying to understand, is Sam all right? Oh, he just whipped himself.
Just literally whipped his ass. Big
time. Oh, bless him. Tell him I'll send him some cream, all right? Bless him. Okay, so you can start without your rope, okay? Don't show me, Sam. Not on camera, not without me paying. Don't do it for free, mate, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do our double under. So our double under, the secret with double unders is staying composed. So what we're doing is we're doing 2 rope turns to every jump. So the way I would normally get people to practice or prepare for double unders is not by doing double unders, is by doing high skips, slow skips. I'm jumping higher. So if you look at my normal jump here, my head's staying on the screen. But on this one, I'm jumping high enough to get my head off the screen. It's a slow rope turn. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So just do a few of those for me, guys. So slow your rope turn down and just jump higher. Give that a go. Awesome. Nice, Emily. Good. Oh, double unders look good, Zoya. And relax, guys. Good. So the second thing I would do is a faster rope turn and the opposite, a really low skip. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from a normal skip to like a really low skip, but really fast singles. So that rope's just passing underneath my feet, only just. It's a timing thing again. So it's getting the timing. So try that. Try to jump as little as possible. So you're doing a really low jump. And then just the boat's only just going under, but try and turn it faster. So I'm doing quicker. That's good. Nice. And relax, guys. Good. Okay, so finally, double unders are here. So what I'm doing with my double under is I'm jumping a bit higher. I'm doing a double turn of the rope. So I'm doing 2 turns. And the important thing with your double unders is you're trying to recreate what you do on the singles in terms of the consistency of the jump. So a lot of people see it as the long jump. They run, you do the long jump, you do 1 jump and that's it, you're done. That's not double unders. Double unders is the rebound. So it's like you jump higher, spin the rope quicker. The moment you come down, you need to be ready to go again. So if you need to do single, double under, that's fine to practice with. So what you can do is you can go single, double under, single, 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 double under, single, 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 double under. Just as a practice to get into it, that's fine. But if you can do double unders, just give a few a go now. Should have a quick look. Nice, guys. And relax. Good. Okay, so what you need is you need consistency for the double unders. Okay, so what you need to be doing is every 2 rope turns, as you hit the ground, you're trying to bounce back up in the same way. So if you're struggling with the consistency of how to get them, you can practice with no rope. Okay, so you can literally be, I know a lot of people do the double tap on the legs, so they can be jumping. That's a nice timing drill, okay? So that's a way of actually thinking about the timing, because most people will do this and they land heavy on the jump. So it's like, because they've jumped higher, they do the double unders, there's tension, and then when they land with dead legs and they can't recycle the movement, okay? So what you've got to get used to is thinking, you can either tap the legs, or you can even just pretend that you're doing the double unders with the timing to get yourself higher with a double turn and then rebounding afterwards, okay? So give that a go without the rope. Just think about jumping, get consistent, or give it a go with your rope. I don't mind. Nice, so yeah. Nice, Emily, that's good. Okay, guys, so most of you look like you're doing double unders, which is good. Okay, so the thing you need to keep those double unders numbers going up is the consistency of the pattern, okay? So like when we did the singles before and you can hear the rope going round, if that timing is the same, you're going to find it easier to keep that pattern of movement. But if your timing goes out slightly, what happens is you hit the ground at a different angle, which means you move forwards or backwards, and then you're chasing yourself to try and stabilize. So one of the best ways to build up your reps is just do 1, relax, then try do 2, relax, then try and do 3. So you start to build that kind of consistency in movement and also the sound. It's important to listen to the sound. If I show you again, if I do, keep hitting the ceiling here. Like if I do double unders, you should be able to hear like the consistency of my double unders. If I speed up, the problem with speeding up is it makes it harder to control. But to start off with, you're better off trying to jump a little bit higher, give yourself that extra bit of time to get the rope round and be consistent with the jump. Give it a go, guys. Oh, Sam, you're whipping yourself today, bro. That was good, Emily. All the last jump you did when you went backwards. So you did 1, 2 in a nice place. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Forward, side to side. That's it, Zeb. Zeb, when you hit the ground, mate, with your legs, when you hit the ground, rather than bending the knees, like keep your legs straight. It will make you faster with your spring. Yeah, there you go, mate. Beautiful. That was all right, Emily. That was all right. But like I said, there's variation forwards and backwards. It's hard. You're chasing yourself. It's difficult. Nice. Okay, guys, have a little breather. Just come in quickly, guys. Right, if you unmute yourselves, has anyone got any questions? Or
Why am I sweating so much?
yeah, it's hot, mate. That's what it is. I'm probably from doing the core workout and all the press ups. Skipping's like one of the best things to do. Oh, Sam.
Hey, look at that.
Oh yeah. Bloody hell, mate.
Beauty.
Got to pay for stuff like that usually.
And I was going to say you have to pay good money for that sort of thing. You're ahead of me on that one. No, yeah. The other thing, this is another practice. This is something else that I've noticed that I've never said, but I've noticed. When you're skipping and doing singles, right? If you scuff, don't stop moving your feet. It was a boxing thing that my boxing coach used to say. You watch people when you're warming up and you're just doing singles. You'll be doing singles like this, and someone scuffs. They stop. They go like that. If you scuff, keep your feet moving, take your feet out, and carry on. It sounds really simple, but when people scuff, they just stop dead, and they go like that, and they start again. And I've just always been taught, like when you scuff and you're doing singles, you're doing your box and skip or your cross skip or whatever, just keep your feet moving. Because I think it does something in your brain, it helps you get that continuation. And I'm trying to learn triples at the moment, and I'm in the same place, which means my feet go dead after that jump. So I'm trying to learn to sort of, rebound. But it's one of those things that if you get used to stop-start, I think it takes longer. So just keep your feet moving as you're going. As it looks, all you guys look really good in terms of your form. I was hoping someone would look like a bit off-piste, or the other thing you see is this a lot. You see people do this, bring their heels up at the back when they're skipping. We really want to get rid of that. We want that hollow rock position. So again, it comes down to the same stuff, all the core work, our kind of finished press position. That's what we're trying to achieve on a double under. So we're thinking about keeping our chest up, stomach in, and we're rebounding from the legs, okay? Any questions, guys, at all, or anything else?
No, that was really useful.
Yeah, the other thing as well, which I mean, both for Sam and Vicky and all of you, and especially Emily, because she scuffed, she started laughing. Laugh. I know it sounds weird, but I've been in a competition. This wasn't even a competition. It was the Open, right? But this was back at another gym, and the person was doing double unders, and they scuffed, and they threw their rope across the floor, had a massive tantrum, and I'm like, it's going to take you so long to learn unless you smile. Unless you know when you scuff, you're like, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? It's like you'll build up gradually. You've got to relax and enjoy it. I know it's not so hard. It's harder to enjoy when you whip yourself, Sam. I appreciate that. So try not to whip yourself. But you've got to just relax. And it's like, you know, progress happens. But with double unders, especially double unders, the numbers just go crazy. So it's like as soon as you get the cycle of it and you start to get good at them, once you hit, I normally say 20 or 30, your fitness will rocket. And the weird thing about like skipping generally is if you get good at a skill, you don't use your fitness as much. So like I could probably skip quite comfortably just singles for like 15, 20 minutes. It doesn't tire me out because I'm quite good at it. But someone who's learning to skip tenses up quite a lot. So it's quite energy zapping. So it's almost like the more you need to practice skipping, do it in small parts. Don't do it in big sessions because you get tired. Once you get tired, everything's harder. So just one of them. All right, guys?
Yeah.
Well, I hope that was helpful for you guys. Thanks so much for turning up because it really does make a big difference. You know, it makes it easier for us to see stuff. And I know Katie loves it. It's like there's something really nice about coaching to new people. So Katie's loving it. I'm loving it. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well.
I've got a lot of practice.
Mate,
my coordination's awful.
but mate, you say that, Sam, but everyone has, mate. Everyone has. The main thing, Sam, is when you do this, you got a good face on you. That's the main thing. And the Vicky won't laugh at you too much.
I can't.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, guys, fantastic work today. Have a lovely evening tonight, whatever you guys are doing, and I shall catch up with you all soon.
Cheers,
Lovely.
JD.
Thank you, JD.
Cheers, guys.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.
See ya.
See you, Zoya.